Welcome, everyone. This is Watson Prunier from Battle4Freedom on Mojo Fiber Radio, and I appreciate every last one of you as we get into another broadcast of Battle4Freedom on Mojo Fiber Radio. Tired of technology. Just tired of technology. Actually, it's funny as you sit here and you look at the homepage for the what I'm going to be sharing today. It's using some old technology, old phones that really communicate how difficult it is that God has been trying to reach us, and He's keeping it as simple, as old school as possible. Today, I want to talk about the whole idea is, can you hear Him now? Reconnecting to God. Can you hear Him now? Reconnecting to God. The reason why I say this is because of the fact that I believe that God is trying to get our attention. He's been trying to get our attention for a long time. And because of the fact that we don't want to listen to what He has to say, we have been in a position where we have been going through a lot of different challenges because of the fact that we don't want to listen to Him. We don't want to hear Him. We don't want to pay attention to what He has been trying to tell us. And I think in the process, He's trying to say, like that old Verizon commercial, "Can you hear me now?" God is saying, "Can you hear Him now?" He's saying, "Can you hear Him now?" And I'm prayerful that we will be able to hear what He has to say as He's been trying to communicate to us and get our attention. If you want to start this day off with some American Pride Roasters coffee, the official coffee of Mojo 50 Radio, it's historically great coffee. American Pride Roasters, go to AmericanPrideRoasters.com. Let them know that Watson from Battle4Freedom sent you. And what I'm going to be sharing with you, maybe you don't want to hear the God thing. You're trying to close out this year on a bang. Well, He is as well, too. And this is New Life Holistic. Take a listen here. And again, God saying, "Can you hear me now?" It was reported in 2019 that the number of Americans taking multiple medications had grown rapidly between 2000 and 2012. From the numbers of 8.2% to 15%, this nightmare has overwhelmed our American society. Are you among those who are taking more medications than you need? Have you lost count of the different medications, or do they have severe reactions to you that do not allow you to think clearly, function clearly? You find yourself often in a vegetative state. Why not try something different? New Life Holistic. New Life Holistic is a company that offers biofeedback therapy and offers you ability to recover from many of the ailments destroying society today. All I can say is New Life Holistic may be your solution without the pills. New Life Holistic. Contact them today. Contact them today and let them know that Watson from Battle4Freedom sent you so that you can go in and get the biofeedback therapy that you need. If you want to interact, you can go to Facebook.com. I see Heidi. I see Brenda. Thank you for joining and being part of the program. Really appreciate you being here as we try and close out this 2021 year, which has just only been a replica of 2020 and as well as 2022 is probably going to be just another replica as our rights continue to erode. But I think that what's happening here is, as I show you these old school phones, I believe that God is in the background saying, "Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now?" And here's the reason why I'm saying this is because of the fact that you have people who cannot, we've put our trust in a lot of individuals, okay? We put a lot of trust in individuals hoping that they would be the ones who are going to help us through the hard times in life and everything like that. And, you know, we've had people, we've had drugs, we've had entertainment, we've had so much. I mean, literally, when you think about most of the stuff that we miss right now because of what we've lost because of the pandemic, we sit here and you have to ask yourself, did we put our hope in those things, in movie theaters, in vacationing, you know, and just getting away, or, you know, that shopping is a therapy for people. Traveling is a therapy for people. Our elections, all of our situations have been us putting hope in people rather than God. I'm going to continue to just hit this home. I saw a text message last night that said, you know, supposedly NASA has solicited 24 theologians to say what would be the reaction to extraterrestrial life if it was introduced now. Now, make no mistake, any alien that shows up, any advanced technology that does show up to this planet or has shown up for the last 50 to 70 years, they're not aliens. They're demons posing as aliens, as advanced life. What's going on, what's been taking place since after the Roswell crash has been, in our advanced stages of medical developments and revolutionary pioneering technologies for medicines, has only been the work of demons convincing humans that they are gods. Right now, as you sit here and you look at all this hope that's been put into these viral solutions, it is nothing short of people acting like they're gods. Because the solution for polio was so great, we can only rise higher than what we've done thus far. We can only climb the ladder. Thank you, Lisa and Tim. Appreciate you. We can only climb higher. And God is basically bringing us back to the most simplicity of He's saying, can you hear me now? You're putting all your energy, all your hope into following all these other different false gods. And God is saying, I want to hear you. I want you to hear me. But you can't hear me as long as you're listening to those other things. As much as we've advanced the technology with iPhones and, the next new phone is going to have all these doodads and triple high features and everything like that, I think sometimes we got to get back to that old system, the old corded. I mean, even the original phones, as heavy as they were, they didn't have as much complication on them because it was just a simple it was just a simple call. Or even back to, you remember the inconvenience of, well, for those of you who were less than 30 years of age or 40 years of age, you maybe never had the experience of having one of those old school phones on the wall and you could only go so far. Like you didn't go to your room, you were sitting out in front of everybody, having your conversation in front of everybody. You were sitting in a chair, you were lying on the floor, but you were still connected to that phone, connected to that wall. And God is basically trying to say, can you hear me now? Let's stay connected. Let's have a longer conversation. With all these distractions on the newer phones, all these technologies, all these things that it's no longer a phone. It's no longer a communication experience. It's a search for answers. It's basically taking pictures of life. And God is basically saying, as much as I want you, you've been doing all these selfies, you've been capturing all this stuff, and God's saying, I want you to capture life with me. He's saying He wants us to capture life with Him. I'm going to go over some stories today just to kind of share how sad it is that we've been putting all of our hope into all of these solutions, all these different individuals that we've been putting our hope into. And God's been trying to get us to wake up. God's been trying to get us to wake up. He's been trying to get us to wake up. And we won't do it. Here's one top article on Daily Mail. And it's so sad. He's trying to avoid blame for his incompetence. GOP hits Biden for saying there is no federal solution to COVID despite previously promising to shut down the virus as cases hit highest level since January, despite mask and vax mandates. So now Biden saying there's no answer. But when you were running against Trump, you basically said, we're going to tackle this better. We've had vaccine mandates, we've had mask mandates, and we still have people dying. Now, right now, you want to blame the unvaccinated. But again, if Okay, let me see if I can explain this so that my kindergartner can understand. We were told if you get the jab, you are protected. That's by President Biden, March this year. That's what he said on multiple occasions. In March, he said if you get the vaccine, if you get the shot, you're protected from all variants. He didn't say that once. He said it multiple times. He even said it a couple months ago. You're protected. Then it changed from you're protected to what we've been always told, well, like the flu, you get the jab, but the symptoms won't be as severe. Okay? This weird process of coming up with all these excuses of saying the thing isn't doing what it's supposed to do. And now it's changed from it's going to lessen the symptoms and you won't die to it's building up stuff in you to prepare for the next versions of what's going on. Even though they keep telling you to take the shot, and it'll protect you, it's proven not to be accurate. Okay? It's being proven not to be accurate. And this is the challenge that we run into here, is because of the fact that as we over and over and over again seek to make sense as to why it isn't working, I think God is basically saying, can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? Your solutions, all the stuff that you put your hope into, it's failing. A lot of people voted for Biden hoping he could fix this situation. He couldn't. He isn't doing any better. The only thing he did better was force and command people, something that Donald Trump didn't do. Donald Trump didn't force people to get the vaccine. Donald Trump didn't last December say, I won't force companies to give you the vaccine. Joe Biden did. And Joe Biden broke his word. Joe Biden lied, and people died. Joe Biden lied, and people died. Biden lied, and people died. Tim said, that's because bath salts, fentanyl, meth, and heroin worked better to create zombies. Well, it's interesting because, with all the distractions, as I look on my phone and I look at all these different apps that I have on here, I have hundreds and hundreds of apps on this phone. It's no longer just a communication device. It is a programming device. Long are the simple days where you just pick up dial numbers and hang up and be done. No call waiting, no interruptions. People called you on the old school phones. They didn't get through. There was no such thing as call waiting. That communication that you have. And I think that we have to get back to that level of communication that God is basically saying to us, I'm having a conversation and I don't want any interruptions. But a lot of you put your hope into Biden, believing that he would fix the situation. A lot of you have put your hope into Trump, thinking that he was the only solution. But last week, even Candace Owens is now spinning, oh, he's too old to operate the internet. What? Mr. 5D tweet chess master doesn't know how to use the internet? Oh, come on, Candace. You're smart, but that was the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life. You're now spinning it. You're backtracking it for Trump. You literally have the goods right in front of everyone to see. Trump lied. Trump is pushing the vaccine. And truth be told, if he were elected again, trust me, if you think what Biden's doing right now via mandates is bad, remember, Trump was the first one to issue a mandate. And if re-elected, he would turn around and make far worse mandates than Biden ever did. because he has nothing to lose. You reelect him, he has nothing to lose. Think about this. The congressmen, the senators who are still in office 25, 30 years later, failing to do their jobs, they have nothing to lose. Lord help us. 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 I don't know what to say. If y'all keep putting your trust in Biden, God's basically saying, can you hear me now? As I look at this, lone gunman goes on shooting rampage. Lone gunman goes on shooting rampage across 6 locations in Colorado, leaving 4 dead. My wife and I, again, talking about this whole idea of people losing it because of the chemicals introduced. Think about not just the chemicals in the last 20 months that have been introduced. Well, think about the other chemicals that have been introduced. We legalized pot in Colorado, right? Not just legalization of pot, legalization of antiviral drugs. We've released a lot into the population. More drugs for depression. We've had steroids and everything else like that out there as people are sculpting and changing their bodies. Isn't it interesting that when you sit here and we look at what is one of the common features that we're finding with all the people who have received the jab? Hyperaggression. Wasn't it steroids that had that same exact thing, that same exact feeling, that hyperaggression? I dare say that with all the chemicals that we've been introducing into our society, whether it is pot, meth, heroin, Pfizer, all these different things, I believe that all these drugs that we've been introducing into our society has basically been cutting the connection line back to God. I think there are some people right now that they can't submit themselves to God because their brains, their minds, their spirits have been chemically lobotomized. They've been spiritually lobotomized, that there is no matter how easy no matter how easy we make faith look, the decisions to follow Christ, it's not that difficult. The breadcrumbs to Christ, he's not even using tiny breadcrumbs. He's literally throwing loaves of bread back to him. In all this, in everything that God has taken away from us, it's clear the only path that we have is back to him, but people still want to hold on to the technology. They want to hold on to the technology. They want to hold on to the vacations. They want to hold on to all these different things that they've left up as altars before God. And he's saying, come back to me now. People have lost hope. They're killing people left and right. A father kills his wife and then kills himself on the lawn in LA while their kids 7 to 16 are sitting inside the house. I bet you most of these people doing these horrible killings are all jabbed. Wait, let me go back to yesterday's broadcast. Yesterday's broadcast. Remember this picture? Remember this guy? I'm going to push this up for you so you can see this. It stuck with me yesterday as I was talking about this. Here you go. Remember this guy? That does not look normal. That does not look normal. All those chemicals in his body, and this boy, 29 years old, with all those chemicals in his system, killed his parents. This is what you're looking at on the screen with this guy, muscles ripped out to no tomorrow, his veins ripping out every orifice of his body. It's not normal. In the beginning, when God created, this is not what he created. This is an abomination. This is an abomination to God. I have no problem being muscular. But then we take it ridiculously. We go insane on putting chemicals into our body to make us see and look and do things we never should have done. Even now, as people putting hope into these drugs being pushed by these major pharmaceutical companies, we're trying to make ourselves look and be something we never wanted. We're supposed to be in the first place. We want longer life. Let's pop this pill. We want to do this. Let's do all this stuff. And God's basically saying, can you hear me now? Because all your efforts to extend your life, all your efforts to have a better life than what I could promise you have fallen flat. The political figures that you put your hope in, whether it's Biden, whether it's Trump, whether it's Obama, whether it's Bush, it doesn't matter. All these people you put your hopes into, and God is saying these altars are crashing down. The dominoes of despair have been waging war against our conscience and so much more. And still, many of you don't want to pick up God's call. Call waiting signals on. We're in the middle of watching a movie. We're in the middle of talking to somebody else, probably the demons or Satan. God's trying to get through, and we don't want to pick up the call. We're going to let it run to voicemail, which we haven't set up our voicemail. He's going to keep calling. He's going to keep calling. And we have to decide what we're going to do here. We have to decide what we're going to do here. Here's another one that's really hilarious. This is laughable. Presidential historian and former Biden speechwriter John Meacham claims White House run by Trump in 2024 will create a constitutional crisis because whatever happens, he would claim he won as Democrats press voting rights legislation. No. Voting rights legislation? How about voter fraud legislation? Constitutional crisis. What's happening right now is a constitutional crisis. But see, there are going to be people who, unfortunately, because their brains have been chemically altered, who will not be able to see and understand what's taking place here. They're constantly sowing these seeds. They're sowing these seeds into our mind to get us to doubt reality, doubt God, and trust every other institution but God. He's like, okay. Constitutional crisis. The constitutional crisis is taking place with these mandates that are against the law. These are the constitutional crises. So you remember, let's get back to Trump ignoring the science. Let's get back to the unvaccinated not trusting the science. Because this is situational ethics, situational science, situational. See, science doesn't change if it's the truth, based on the truth. The CDC has quarantined to 5 days for everyone who contracts COVID to keep society functioning. Wait. First it was 14 days, then it was 10 days, now it's 5 days. So basically, what we were told 20 months ago is that, guess what? 14 days is what you need to isolate yourself to make certain that you're not going to press on these diseases. Now we're going to push it down to 10 days because we realize that 10 days, it's more reasonable in helping you understand what's going on. Well, you know what? Society's collapsing right now, so we're going to skip the science of quarantining because society has to continue functioning. This isn't based on science. This is based on convenience. This is based on convenience. And these people who've been changing the standard of what science is nothing but what Tim was saying earlier about climate change and farting cows. They cut the isolation restrictions for Americans from COVID from 10 days to 5. Science doesn't change to the situation. If the science and the data observed is based on the truth, and we isolate and identify that this is X plus Y equals Z, and it doesn't matter what the circumstances of what the situation is, X plus Y will always equal Z. The only way that X plus Y doesn't equal Z is if you change the values of X or Y. Or even Z. This is not science, folks. Ooh. This is what Tim said. And I think this it's the science of greed. If anything has been proven during this pandemic, it has been the science of greed. Tim says based on money, they are not collecting taxes when people don't spend. Holy moly guacamole. Holy moly guacamole. There you go. I went right through the break. That's okay. Think on that for a second here. Lord help us. Oh. There you go. There's your answer. It's the science of the greed. The science of greed. You know, it's really interesting. Again, let's get back to this whole idea. I gotta chew on that one for a minute there, Tim. Thank you very much. I appreciate what you said there. I'm your host, Watson Predier from Battle for Freedom on Mojo 5 Radio. I appreciate every last one of you as we continue to try and share the truth and give you a good perspective of what's going on here. I'm talking about this whole idea of reconnecting back to God. Can you hear him now? God has allowed us to go through all this stuff right now because he's been trying to get our attention. He's been trying to get us, Lord God, help us. Hey, Amy, thank you. She's listening in the car. You can listen in the car, live. You can go to iHeartRadio. Actually, you know what? Hey, Battle for Freedom is finally done. Now, I have a whole lot of articles I have to upload, but the new phase, the new direction of Battle for Freedom, I think will flow better. In the top menu, when you go and you look at this, you'll get a chance to see a lot of the different things. Actually, what I could probably do for many of you is give you a little demonstration so that you understand how to use this. For those of you who are going to be on, Facebook, I can basically give you a list on so you can understand how to navigate the new page, the new infrastructure or the new design, so that it'll make things easier for you. You can find things better. So if Amy's listening in the car, so Amy, don't look at your screen while you're doing this. But so you see on here, one of the things that's really, really nice is when you look at this page, you'll get a chance to see, like at the top, you'll have the pie menu top left. When you click this, it'll show you the start, blogs, audio, about. So when you check those different things, you can close that. It'll show you how to get around. It'll give you a link to Mojo 5 Radio, Spreaker, iHeartRadio. So if you want to listen while you're in the car, you can also go here, and there's a help menu that kind of explains all the different things on the top. So even as you check each one, it kind of tells you what's the purpose of each of the buttons at the top of the screen and help you get through this. Here's a search built in. So if you decide that you want to type in, if you want to sit here and type in, let's say like Trump, Obama, spell him right, and Clinton, you can do this and do the search. It gives you your search result, and you can see that it gives you what your search criteria was, what was found. And what's really nice about this is you scroll down on this list. If there's more than, you have these range finders that can kind of tell you the information that you're looking for. And let's say Trump tides, you can kind of get this. Turning the tides gives you the information on what you're looking for. And when you get into a particular article, whether it's a blog post, a blog, or even when you get into the AVDIO. And so explaining AVDIO, it's audio, video, and I just combine them into one word, AVDIO. But when you do this, it brings up this little pie menu called the archives. So when you click this, it can give you the years, and it breaks down different months. You can search against this. A little bit cleaner, a little bit faster. Hope you enjoy it. Battle4Freedom.com. Check it out. And hopefully you'll get more that you can hear. Thank you, Debbie and Carrie, for joining and being part. Debbie says, don't forget the chips with that guacamole. Listen, folks, God is saying, like, even as Amy is in her car and she's driving, it's just her. I don't know if her beau is in the car with her as they're driving, or if she's off to work. But God sometimes has to isolate us in a vehicle, driving away from all the other distractions so that we can hear him. I believe that he's trying to do the same thing right now. As we put our hope in all these different things that have no lasting value, God is begging us to wake up. See, you remember earlier when I was talking about the whole idea of people becoming violent who get the jab. So I don't know if many of you have seen Delta Karen, revealed to be a former Playboy model, Baywatch actress, and Raiders cheerleader who now works as a realtor. FBI arrests her for assault on a passenger, 80 years old, who took off his mask to eat, though she wasn't wearing one either. I mean, literally, the hostilities because you're not wearing a mask. Now, this is what people do if you're not wearing a mask. What happens if you don't get the jab? What happens if you don't get the jab? And think about this. If you go into a store and they say, if you don't have a jab, you must wear a mask. Well, there are a lot of people, I believe, who are still wearing a mask, even though they got the jab. So then the people who are wearing a mask, I believe that some of the violent people who are basically telling you need to be jabbed and you need to be wearing a mask, they're going to start attacking people wearing masks because they believe that the people who are wearing masks don't have the jab. And God's basically saying, can you hear me now? Because those people have put their hope in science, a false science, a fake science, because this what Delta Karen is doing is forsaking the simple, treat others the way you want to be treated. Treat others. Again, most of us who can't be vaccinated or who don't want to be vaccinated, we're like, listen, if you want to have the vaccine, that's fine. By all means, zippity-doo-dah, zippity-yay. Have a wonderful day, okay? But that's not sufficient for you. That's not sufficient for you. When Fauci tells people to disinvite your unvaccinated family members and friends, how is that treating your neighbor as yourself? How is that morally superior? How is that in any way a better society when you're now treating the unvaccinated as pariah? Let's change that for a second, what Fauci just said about disinviting the unvaccinated. Disinvite the black. Disinvite the gay and transgender. Disinvite any transgender because they're not real humans. Disinvite any woman because she doesn't measure up to a man. Disinvite any black person because they're unintelligent, big lip, heavy thighed individuals. Right? I mean, if you want to talk about a words of hatred, you said rise above hate. Right now, if Trump or even Ben Carson or anybody in the cabinet of Trump basically said hate someone because of their gender persuasion, their gender affiliation, their gender attraction, their color, their weight, their vaccine status, it will be the end of that person. But Fauci still has a job. Because right now, the reason why he has a job is because we have put our hope in political positions, political seats, presidential seats, and power that is nothing compared to the almighty power of God. Nothing measures up to God's omnipotence, God's omniscience, God's omnipresence. Carolyn, she said she can't watch Song of the South anymore. Hey, Carolyn, thank you. Yeah, Debbie's like, what color mask should I wear today? The invisible kind. And I'm not talking about plastic. I'm saying, listen, mask up with Jesus because you don't have to worry. Oh, he said good morning. I hope he is safe. Lep. Hi, Carrie. Thank you for joining. Lep from Ain't You a Peach. I love you. I get emails from him every day inside of Facebook. So continue to lift up him and his awesome crew with Ain't You a Peach. Listen, many of the other shows that you can learn about are on go to mojo50.com/schedule. And you could find out all the different ones that are, you can find out all the different shows that are available to you on this network. But it's hilarious, the violence of these individuals. You're not wearing a mask. Delta Karen. Now think about this. See, they're going to do everything that they can to start showing more racist people, but they don't want to show the... Let's move on. I want to go into this one here, actually, for a second here. Body cam video, desperate cries of mom whose teen daughter was killed by cops' stray bullet while she was in a store dressing room trying on a quinceañera dress are heard in the edited footage of tragic shooting. LAPD released body camera footage from December 23rd when Valentina Oriana Peralta, 14, was shot and killed by an officer's stray bullet. This is tragic. It really is. It's really tragic that she lost her life. But why is it that people continue to keep thinking we can go back to life and that nothing's going to change? Let's go back shopping. Let's go back to the movie theaters. Let's go back to life normal. Nothing is normal about what's happening today. The level of violence, people shooting and stealing in San Francisco, closing Walgreens and CVS's and everything else because of the fact that the Democrats who are in control are reducing the sentences or even the imprisonment restrictions on people committing heinous crimes. So people who should not be out in jail shooting at cops and resisting arrest are out on the streets shooting at cops and resisting arrest. As tragic as it is that they sat the police officer down, why are we out shopping? We have tools like Amazon and so much more. Let's go back and let's go to the store and just act like this is nothing ever happening. Are you not paying attention to what's happening in LA? And around the country, around the world? God is making stuff so uncomfortable. He's saying, sit your behinds home. Sit your behinds home. Holy cow. What else do you need? How many flights canceled because of Omicron? What do you need? Ships stuck out at sea because of viruses and supply chain shortages and things like that? What else do you need to hear God say, can you hear me now? Holy cow. Why are we so fixated on resisting what he's saying to us to get our attention? And then we blame other people when we continue. We continue to just act like nothing is happening. We continue to act like nothing's ever happening. One of my buddies named Sam, his birthday's today. Happy birthday, Sam, down in, I think, Georgia. Happy birthday, Sam. Lord help us. We just keep carrying on like nothing is going wrong. We keep acting like nothing's going on. And God's basically trying to get our attention. I want you to hear something. Proverbs chapter 3, verse 11 and 12. My son, do not despise the Lord's discipline or be weary of his reproof. For the Lord reproves him who he loves, as a father the son in whom he delights. Yeah, Carolyn. Omicron is the same symptoms of a cold. Always been. Always been. And they're always, like Debbie says, they're always viruses. But God is disciplining us. He's disciplining us right now. I'm begging us. We have 2021 is almost over. God's trying to get our attention. And we need to change what we're doing right now. He is trying to get our attention. He's pulling up these old phones. He's pulling up these old technologies to get our attention. And I don't know if we really want to hear. Here's an interesting thing. Let's go back to a little voter fraud. Trump's claim over 5,000 ballots cast by dead people in Georgia is debunked by state's attorney general office after investigation found only 4, including women who voted for Trump on behalf of her dead husband. Is this data true? Is this data real? I don't know. But for argument's sake, let's say that this is true, the data that we just got. Y'all sitting here storming capitals. Y'all sitting here protesting election fraud. And you never sat to ask and say, God, why did you allow Trump to lose? See, you never thought about asking God why he allowed Hillary to lose in 2016. But you're questioning God as to why. Because this is unacceptable. No. The anointed one was supposed to reign forever. The anointed one was supposed to last forever. He has not. He has not. And you guys put all your hope, all your trust into this man. Go back to Daniel chapter 4. When Nebuchadnezzar was full of pride in himself and he looked out and behold, he was warned, don't get too cocky. Don't get too proud. Don't get too full of yourself. Less than 12 months later, he is puffing out his chest about why Babylon was as great as it was. He made Babylon great again. Whatever it is. No, I wasn't speaking at Doug's. Where was this one article? I've got to find this one article. No. Yeah. Hey, listen. Oh yeah, I'll get to that one in a second here. Cancel your New Year's Eve party plans, says Fauci as he advocates vaccine passports for domestic flights. U.S. records 200,000 new COVID cases every day, the highest 7-day average since January 19. Interesting that he goes to 2 days before Trump is replaced. He has to start on the week before Trump is replaced. I bet you this is the highest numbers. This is the highest numbers since March of 2020. With everybody vaccinated, and wear a mask, we still have people getting infected. See, this again, you have to ask yourself the question. We didn't have a vaccine last year. We didn't have a drug basically saying it's going to protect us last year. But for some strange reason, people are getting infected. Like they didn't see the variants coming. Hey, how many cases of the flu are there? I don't know. I don't think that's the focus right now. I want to get into this one. This one is really okay. See, for the longest time, we have been trying to come up with solutions on replacing evil. And God's basically saying, stop focusing on the external forces of evil, and I want you to focus on the internal forces of evil. Okay? Open up my word, open up the Bible, read the word, and hear what I have to say. But I saw this article earlier, and this one is very interesting. 5 men accused of plotting to kidnap Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer want charges dismissed because FBI invented conspiracy and informants funded and agitated the movement. Okay. Let's say that there's some truth to the fact that between the Capitol riots and between the Capitol, quote unquote, Capitol riots, and even this thing to kidnap Whitmer, it was a thing. Okay, so kidnapping is always against the law. Kidnapping is always against the law. Murder is always against the law. Okay? So you have to ask yourself, what grounds would make you break the law? See, as we sit here getting mad about Democrats violating the law, most definitely, and Republicans too, let's move beyond the political figures and let's now look to the normal Americans. You were so easily deceived that you believed kidnapping a governor was an acceptable plan. So it's time to do some introspection. It's time to do some self-check. It's time to do some self-evaluation of what's going on right now. Somehow, some way in our drug-induced minds, we concocted the idea that it's okay for us to break the law because this is for a patriotic cause. Huh? I think we've been spending too much time watching movies. I think we've been spending too much time in La La Land. Let me see. I'm just going to look through the Bible, but I'm trying to find any passages where God said kidnap people to make things work. I'm trying to see this. I'm not finding any examples in the Word of God where God said kidnap people to accomplish his will, to end evil. I'll look through it again. I'll go through the different books of the Bible. Tomorrow I'll be in Malachi or Malachi, the Italian prophet, to end off Wednesday word. But I'm not finding any passages where it says it's okay to break the law to fix evil. Yeah, so Tim's basically saying that it was 2 FBI agents that planned the kidnapping. Either way, when we get so easy manipulated that we can actually be manipulating into breaking the law, I dare say we're not operating on the law of God. Period. See, we've been operating on emotion for so long that we've stopped focusing on being impartial and hearing the voice of God. Because really, borrowing the words of Satan, did God really say that it's okay to kidnap people to go to get his will done? Now, mind you, when Satan was saying, did God really say, it was, did he really set a standard? And God has set a standard about the way we should live, about the way we should treat each other. And what's happening in front of society, in front of our eyes right now, it's not according to God's word. It's not about living and abiding by God's word. You got Catholic priests telling the unvaccinated you're not welcome. I mean, think about this. Think about this. A Catholic priest is saying to someone who's not vaccinated, who can't get vaccinated, they're afraid of dying if they get vaccinated, you're not welcome in my church. Don't come here. Hold on a second here. When I look in the New Testament, I mean, and for The Chosen season 3, I believe they're going to be starting off on the Sermon on the Mount. As people be as the lame, as the sick, as the crippled are being brought to Jesus, he's taking every last one of them in and healing them. They can't get healed if they can't come to Jesus broken. And the Catholic priest is saying, I know that you're broken, but you're not welcome. He's an advocate, supposed to be an advocate for Christ. He's supposed to be an ambassador for Christ, 2 Corinthians chapter 5. So different than the message that Andy shared last week on Christmas Eve. Pastor Andy Lee of Crossroad Community Church, Shelbyville, Indiana. We talked about the whole idea of we turn around and we witness and we minister to everyone. No one's off limits to God's grace. No one is off limited to God's mercy. No one is off limits to God's love. That goes to show you that these institutions are not about honoring God. These institutions are about honoring man and their ways of the world. Heartbreaking. You're not welcome if you're unvaccinated. Let's change the word. You're not welcome if you're not white. You're not welcome if you're not a man. You're not welcome if you're straight. You're not welcome if you're poor. If you're not rich. Really? The church? I dare say not a church at all, but nothing but an empty tomb, a sepulcher, a grave site, a crypt full of deadness, zero life, zero passion, and no heartbeat. Do you hear me? Zero heartbeat. This is just ridiculous. This is just ridiculous. This is only going to get worse, folks. Because God's basically saying, can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? We put all our hopes in these churches and these priests. God's basically saying, I want no one to come between you and me. My relationship with you is what matters most. That's what God is saying right now. He wants nothing to come between us and him. Nothing. You sit here and we watch all this filth and disgust of what we're promoting in our society. Think about this. This last one. Turkish influencer is given suspended 5-month jail term after posing alongside giant penis statue of obscene photos in Amsterdam's sex museum. We have no shame. We have no filter. We're just going to do whatever we want. because we can. And God's going to continue to strip those things away. God's saying, can you hear me now? And I just don't think we're listening. This is a tragedy, folks, because things aren't improving. They're declining. Lord, help us. Lord, help us now. I'm your host, Watson Prunier from Battle for Freedom on Mojo Fiber Radio. I appreciate every last one of you as I'm going to close out this session. See you tomorrow for the book of Malachi, the Italian prophet, and I'll talk to you later. God bless. Take care.